Welcome to our FlexTrack introduction. My name is Lisa Ivins. I am the FlexTrack teacher for grades 3 through 5. And during this introduction, I'm hoping to share with you some distinctives of our program so that you can have a better idea by the end if this is going to be a good fit for your student. We like to say in FlexTrack that we are the FBI, the Flex Bureau of Investigation. We use this idea of a detective a lot in class. We talk about how our specialty is solving history mysteries. Our goal is to become thinkers, communicators, and achievers. And our beat for 2019 and 20 is post-Revolutionary War independence to the early 1900s. We use Story of the World, Volume 3, as our backbone for next year, and then we supplement with other literature pieces that coordinate with the time period that we're studying. Our tools of the trade are observation, teamwork, technology, and ingenuity, and we use a lot of each one of those in class weekly. So you might ask, what makes FlexTrack different? If you have a second grader, you know that third grade comes with a lot of changes. One of those is that there are electives for half of the day. FlexTrack uses those electives as well. We have our core class during the same time that regular A and B classes meet, so the days and the tracks remain the same. But the things that make us different are the following. We do a 3-year chronological study of history. We do not switch back and forth between world history and American history as the other tracks do. Our 3-year rotation includes ancients to early 1900s, and this coming year will be year 3 of that rotation. American history is taught in its proper time context during years 2 and 3, so the majority of that will be happening next year. And we use essential question, big ideas to drive each unit's inquiry, discussions, writing, and projects. So we have 1 to 2 essential questions that we hover around, both at home and in class, to basically form a framework for everything that we talk about. We use Khan Academy Online exclusively as our math curriculum, which is different from the other tracks. We specialize in group project-based learning that integrates history, writing, literature, and math when appropriate. There's an emphasis on critical evidence-based thinking, and the grade levels are de-emphasized with flexibility for students to work at their own level, and that is generally at or above grade level, particularly if you have a third grader. It's very important that you understand that FlexTrack is more difficult than the typical third grade classroom in that even though I do tier the assignments, they are still doing assignments with fifth graders as well as just the critical thinking that's involved in the conversations and the group work. I definitely tier things frequently to bring alongside the different leveled ages so that they can work together, but third graders do definitely have more of a stretch to get there. So it's important that if you are considering this for your third grader, that you have a really clear understanding of what this is going to involve and you're ready to take on the challenge with your third grader. We also have a higher weekly accountability in that there are online submissions to make sure that everybody is on the same page when they come to class, because this is essentially a flipped classroom where they are being front-loaded with the information at home, and then we come to class and take that information to a higher level with application and synthesis activities. What type of student might enjoy FlexTrack? A student who enjoys a challenge, a self-starter, a student who is curious, motivated to make and share their discoveries, definitely a student who is a capable reader and writer. There is a larger amount of both. A student who enjoys collaborating with a group and learns by doing. We find that these students that have these qualities definitely enjoy the FlexTrack experience to a greater degree. And I would also add that the family situation makes a big difference as well, because the families who are really interested in coming alongside and discussing the history topics and reading the books, not necessarily together, but there's enough of a tandem going on where those ideas can be discussed and taken to a deeper level. Those are the kinds of experiences that provide for a really rich understanding for students. Okay, this is a sample of a typical homeschool day on FlexTrack. The math consists of 15 minutes of fact practice. Typically that's reflex math, but that can look different ways for different families. The backbone and the most important piece is the 50 minutes of Khan Academy self-paced online. I always recommend for families to start with breaking that up to 25 minutes and then going and doing something else and coming back to another 25 minutes per day. And then there's a 10-minute written summary of learning in a math journal. The history consists of 30 to 40 minutes per homeschool day of reading or listening to the assigned text, and approximately a 15-minute response to reading with an InfoQuest journal. We are going to be participating in the Reader's Choice program for reading instruction next year, and that is the same as A and B track and those C track families who wish to. Basically, this is a variation of the 40-book challenge. Writing will be approximately 30 minutes per day. Institute for Excellence in Writing, that's what the IEW stands for, and that will also be the same as the other tracks. Everyone will be going to that next year. Some miscellaneous things: 30 minutes of Lexia or Reading Plus, 20 minutes of grammar, 15 minutes of typing and handwriting, and 20 minutes of spelling. And these are the same as the other tracks as well. So that totals approximately 4.5 hours per homeschool day. The main differences being the time allotted for the math and the history, not an additional period of time, but allotted in a different way. And then parents partner at home by guiding discovery, actively discussing history and literature topics, and sharpening fundamentals. These are some sample class activities. We have history-based discussions. We do some hands-on experiences. I have a book club that meets once a unit where students read the same book and then they come together and talk about it, and we do activities related to that and bring in snacks that coordinate with that. We have art history and primary source investigations. Writer's Workshop is going to consist of mostly IEW lessons next year. Online research, blogging, lap booking, simulations. Sometimes we have special guests coming in depending on the topic. And then Math Centers Weekly, which consist of Khan Academy and skill building through games and notebooking. And I do have many opportunities for parents to come in and volunteer, particularly for Math Centers. Okay, so some fine print issues. Upon acceptance, students are removed from their current track and added to Flex A or Flex B track. Families need to commit to at least 1 year. Changing tracks mid-3-year rotation will result in some history topics being skipped. If your student is in the class from grades 3 through 5, they will receive that full 3-year rotation, and there won't be any of that skipping of topics. Due to time constraints, projects require a lot of it. Flex students receive a lesser amount of fundamental practice in class than their grade level counterparts. What this means is, particularly if you have a student who has a growth opportunity in a certain subject area that's rather acute, particularly if your student is a 3rd grader, especially, it's really important that you understand that I will not be doing reading instruction in class in the way of phonics and group reading out loud and things like that. I do directed writing instruction, but it is at a higher level. So this doesn't mean that your 3rd grader needs to be writing paragraphs independently. Please don't get me wrong with that. But you do need to understand that if your student has a growth opportunity that is needing some extra attention, some extra work, then if you choose Flex, you're going to need to supplement with the extra time spent at home to lessen those gaps. Flex students participate in electives and have break time with their grade level, the same as A, B, or C track. Many families are very nervous about changing to flex because their student thinks that they're not going to be with their friends, but actually they're still with their friends at lunch, at PE, at recess, at those appropriate times for socializing. They are still going to be with their grade level friends, as well as electives too. Flex families submit an online form each week recording history scores and giving readers choice updates. So this is different than the A or the B or the C track. You will be turning in a Google form. It takes approximately 5 minutes to fill out once a week, just updating me and keeping me in the loop of what's going on at home. And history must be completed on time for students to be adequately prepared for class. As I mentioned before, this is a flipped classroom, and we do use the information that students are gathering at home directly in class. So it's important that they do not get behind on those lessons. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, livans@classicalacademy.com, and I will do my best to answer. Okay, so what if you decide after listening to this that it would be a great fit for your student? Now what? These are the next steps. You need to submit the Google form below, which is right here, this bit.ly link, to indicate your desire to choose Flex for next year. You need to notify the office by marking Flex on your re-enrollment, and you will receive an email if your student is selected for Flex after the re-enrollment due date has passed. If interest exceeds the number of spots available on a track, selection is based on the above online permission being submitted and original enrollment date of each student. Meaning that those students who have been at our school longer get a priority for the track of their choice, and that includes Flex as well. I hope that I have answered some of your questions. I'm sure that you probably have more. As I said, please feel free to reach out to me with email. I would love to be able to answer your questions so that you feel confident in your decision one way or another. I really am always so excited to find out the new students, the new group that I'm going to have coming up. We have a really great time together. If you're in doubt, I suggest that you reach out to some families who are already part of Flex. We just have some wonderful learning adventures together. But it is a different experience. It's definitely more of a collaborative experience between home and school than your traditional A or B track. I definitely very much value the partnership that I have with the families in this class, and that builds throughout those 3 years. And so I really look forward to serving you and your student if this ends up being what you think is a good match for you. Thank you so much.